Good evening. London's mayor says he wants answers from the boss of the Metropolitan Police after 6 anti-monarchists were arrested during Saturday's coronation. Sadiq Khan said in a letter to Sir Mark Rowley that the arrests needed to be explained and that they were concerning. The force expressed its regret after the arrests linked to the campaign group Republic. The mayor is now calling for an urgent review, as our political correspondent Simon Harris reports.
This was the moment anti-monarchy activists have been waiting for. The chance to protest in front of the King. But earlier, 6 members of the campaign group Republic were arrested.
An officer at the front of the van stated that they had found D-lock devices, which was, of course, as we now know from the evidence, incorrect. They had actually found what are luggage straps.
More than 50 people were detained during the coronation procession. Some were from the environmental campaign group Just Stop Oil. But it was the arrest of the Republic demonstrators which has sparked a political backlash.
Just chilling to see that people are being arrested and then, in the case of the Republic people, completely de-arrested because they couldn't stand up the grounds on which they'd been arrested.
Look at the situation that the police were in. There's a very fine line that they have to walk, and I think they did an extremely good job, and I would thank every one of them.
London's mayor added his weight to calls for an investigation, writing to the Met Commissioner, Sir Mark Rowley, asking him to explain the police tactics. In his letter to Sir Mark, the mayor said he understood it was not easy to balance public safety with the right to protest. But some of the arrests, he added, had given rise to concerns. He said he wanted to know why arresting officers ignored advance meetings between Republic and the Met. Why weren't the protesters released more swiftly? And what role did the new Public Order Act play in the arrests? A point raised in the Commons by Shadow Minister and Croydon MP Sarah Jones.
This new power means that people might be arrested for the wrong thing, carrying a bike lock in their bag or, as happened in this case, some luggage straps. Many former police officers have warned that these powers put the police in a difficult position.
Home Office Minister Chris Philp, also a Croydon MP, said policing the coronation was unique.
They had to make very difficult decisions in very fast time against an extremely threatening intelligence picture. Often the facts were, at the time, unclear.
Writing in the Evening Standard, the Commissioner defended the police operation, saying it was targeted at those intent on causing serious disruption and criminality. Not for the first time, the Met is facing uncomfortable questions. Simon Harris, ITV News.
But first, the Conservatives have begun the contest to choose a candidate to challenge Sadiq Khan in next year's London mayoral election. Assembly member Susan Hall is the latest to throw her hat in the ring. Meanwhile, a prominent anti-ULEZ campaigner has been chosen to represent the former Brexit Party, now known as Reform UK. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has the latest.
Sadiq Khan is hoping for a hat-trick. If he wins next year's election, he'll be the first person in history to be elected mayor 3 times. But he doesn't yet know who his Tory challenger will be.
I think he's beatable. I think I'm the one that could beat him, which is why I've put my name into the hat.
Susan Hall is the latest member of the London Assembly to join the contest to be Conservative candidate. Fellow Assembly members Andrew Boff and Nick Rogers have already said they want the gig. So has former Downing Street adviser Samuel Kasumu. London Minister Paul Scully is also believed to be considering it.
Obviously, it's Cox for London.
Howard Cox, a veteran campaigner against fuel duty, also wants to be mayor. He's standing for Reform UK, which used to be the Brexit Party.
I can't sit by any longer and watch this man wreck our capital.
What about air quality?
Well, air quality, there's no problems with air quality. Even the Transport for London's own report has shown that quite categorically that the expansion of the ULEZ zone out to the M25 to Greater London will make no difference.
The plan to enlarge the ultra-low emission zone to all of Greater London divides opinion. Cars which fail to meet modern emissions standards face a daily £12.50 fee. Unless the courts decide otherwise, the ULEZ will be extended as planned on August the 29th. By the time Londoners go to the polls next May, they'll have had 8 months to get used to it. And Labour believes the Conservatives' poor results in last week's council elections in places like Windsor prove campaigning on an anti-ULEZ ticket isn't a vote winner.
If you look at all the home counties, all the areas they were targeting, do you know what happened? The Tories lost 99 seats, the bulk of them coming to us in the Labour Party. So it didn't work.
And although most of the aspiring Tory candidates have promised to scrap the ULEZ extension, Susan Hall concedes it's not the #1 election issue.
We've got to have some really good common sense policies, and we've got to get Khan out, we've got to sort the police out, we've got to have the homes built that Londoners need, and that isn't great big tower blocks. We need family homes built, but beyond everything, my passion is policing.
The Tories will choose their candidate to take on Sadiq Khan in July. Simon Harris, ITV News.
Next tonight, a Surrey sailor has spoken out about his fears of losing his toe after he claims to have got an infection from simply dipping his foot in the River Thames. Nick Stevens was admitted to hospital twice by doctors who diagnosed him with cellulitis, a bacterial infection that caused his foot and leg to swell and change colour. Although medics can't prove exactly what caused it, Nick believes it might have been sewage in the water. He's been speaking to our correspondent, Simon Harris.
Nick Stevens was taking advantage of the warm weather. On a sunny day in March, he cycled to Weybridge Sailing Club on the Thames, where he's a member.
The water was nice and clear and clean, and I thought, I did seemingly innocuous thing. I put my foot in the river.
24 hours later, a huge blister appeared on his foot. Nick, who works in IT, knew he was in trouble.
All through the night, it was throbbing, it was burning hot. I was trying to get to a basin to just put cold water on it. It was pretty awful. I knew I needed to get to the hospital.
The blister was removed, but a cellulitis infection spread up his leg.
It was very scary from the point of view of maybe losing the toe.
This is the sewage.
7 days before Nick's infection, sewage was discharged upstream in the River Wey, which runs into the Thames. It was filmed by an angler, a friend of Andrew Stanley.
My pal was appalled when he saw it. He was just in his normal fishing spot, and it was a total shock.
Thames Water confirmed sewage was released into the river from 2 treatment works in the week before Nick became ill. But a spokesperson added, discharges of diluted sewage are only one of the many pollutants in rivers. Animal faeces from livestock and wildlife, along with runoff from farms and roads, also contribute to the hazards found in rivers. The Environment Agency told us this part of the river is not a designated bathing area, so swimming isn't advised. But of course, it's not just swimmers who come into contact with the water. Josh runs a paddleboard school. Falling in the river is part of the learning experience.
The thing that we try and teach people is if they fall in, they know how to get back on. And the only way you can do that is getting in the water, right?
Last week, Nick's case was raised in Parliament by the MP Munira Wilson.
The water companies are responsible for dumping this raw sewage in our rivers, but the government has a major responsibility to crack down on them, and they have failed.
I think it's outrageous that in this day and age, I mean, this isn't the 19th century, it's the 21st century. Why are we putting sewage in our coastal waterways and our internal waterways like this? It's awful.
Nick spent 11 nights in hospital. He was seen by a microbiologist, and he says the doctors were sure his infection had come from the river. Simon Harris, ITV News, Weybridge.